Everyone wants to find their art style and they want to find it fast. Honestly, it hasn't been that important for me to stick to one thing professionally because unless someone comes to me directly and commissions a project in my style, I've always had to adapt to something else. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I really enjoy working on other projects, trying new styles, new software, new mediums. There's always something new to learn, and more than anything else, I think this has helped me find my own style. Practicing drawing in a different way, using different line thicknesses, pressures, detail, and observing how other people draw their characters and backgrounds is really interesting. If I find something I like, I will see if I want to incorporate that into my style. It will never be a direct copy, and I don't keep everything. Sometimes it doesn't work out, or I get bored with drawing the way I do and want to try something new. The character I first used for story times looked like this, then this, then this, and more recently I made an animated character in Blender for live streams. And there's such a difference between them, but you can still tell that they're made by me. I've improved a lot, and I'd say aside from freelance and projects I've set myself, Reanimated collabs have had a big part in that. Art collabs are a brilliant way to make something short, connect with other artists, and experiment with new styles. As the parts are usually around 5 seconds, if you prefer it to trying something new, you can just add more detail to your usual style, which is something you might not get to do often if your projects are longer and need to be finished quickly. This is my 4th animated collab. The first was a reanimated storytime for Something Else by T. The second was a YouTube Rewind collab. And the third was for a reanimated Adventure Time episode. This collab was organised by ANIMATE Studios, and yes, he did get permission from Zalinki to make this. If you haven't watched Music for Sad People, I would highly recommend it. I had 2 parts in this. The first was made up of a couple of still frames with a camera move, and the second was a more dynamic dancing scene with some rain, nice lighting, and a slow zoom out. For the first part, I added a little movement to the blood spills, spacing the frames in 3s to get a slower movement. Still images don't tend to last too long, but by adding a camera move, you can keep the viewer's interest and hold the shot for longer. Colour and texture are really important to me when I make something, so I wanted the look to be soft and dreamy, which is the total opposite to the bloodbath that's taken place in the video. Comparing the original to this first part, I added the clothes and a lot more lined detail. This is actually similar to my usual style, except the proportions of the character and clothes are more realistic. I'd say the hardest part was trying to match the colours between the cut so it didn't look jarring. And of course there was this hand. I struggled with the hand a lot, trying to get it to something I was happy with, but eventually I gave in and traced over the top, adding more detail to make it blend in. Everyone has their comfort zones for what they like to draw and what they practice regularly. So by referencing another style or working on a collab like this, you're going to find things you need to improve on. For me, I've definitely got to study hands and clothes a bit more, and not be quite so afraid of more dynamic movements and camera angles. This second shot had a camera move with an animated character, and to get a sort of consistent figure, I had to isolate the frames where the character changed position, and then transform them to match and cancel out the camera move. I'd already finished the background using flat grayscale shapes to get the values down, and create a bit of variation between the different sections. Next, it was time for flat colour and texture layers. The blending modes helped make sure I got the bright, colourful look I wanted. For the character, I went with a lineless style, so they were roughly lined and then filled in with flat blocks of colour. I wasn't too precious about staying inside the lines, and I used a textured brush I made to get a softer edge. Then, on another layer, I used a hard round brush to add in details with the purple line I'd used in the background. With reanimated collabs, I feel like there's less pressure to figure out what to do as the original already gives you a template to work from. The characters, movement and staging is all set up. You really just have to put your own twist on it. Much like a Draw This in Your Style challenge, where everyone has a similar reference point, but no 2 parts will be the same. I don't usually do a lineless style like this because it's often more time intensive than my regular look. But it's definitely more forgiving with proportions and making it look like the character is more consistent than it actually is. Referencing the original shot, I then added lighting with a textured brush in a bright yellow and got started on the rain animation. To stop myself from getting too overwhelmed with individual drops, I focused on one section and turned it into a brush that I then pasted across the canvas. To make the loop, I duplicated and shifted the new frames across the timeline and filled in any gaps after. The camera move was the easiest part of this, but it really pulled the whole shot together and I'm super pleased with how my shots turned out. I've seen a lot of artists worry about finding their style, especially if they want to make art their career, but I don't believe you need to pin yourself down to one specific style forever. As you grow and change as a person and artist, so will your style. Your influences will shift and change, and if you accept that, embrace it, then I hope you'll find yourself a lot less stressed about what you should be doing and just enjoy the process. There's no rush, you have time. If you like this one, consider subscribing, leave any questions in the comments, and I'll be back with another video real soon. Bye!